3931 traffic. Cinnamon 21. Flanders and Arrow. John Boy Henry. 725. Flanders and Arrow.
All right, backseaters. Welcome back. Sorry if there was a few second delay there, but I had the smartest man, Kyle, and I think he's either the second smartest man or maybe the most technologically capable man. So we are back for Mondays with Mike. I'm Mike Martin. I'm an Undersheriff with the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office here I'm in the fine city of St. Paul in Ramsey County, Minnesota. We are in the capital city of Minnesota on University Avenue at Jackson, right by the Regents Hospital and the state capitol. Sorry I'm a little later than usual today, but it's been a busy morning with a lot going on, and I had some trouble getting my bulletproof vest with all my gear out of my safe in the back of my car. So I was able to finally, I don't know if it was somehow stuck or what, but eventually I got it open and now we're ready to roll. This morning it was really mild and cloudy and windy, but now it's sunny and warm and getting muggy out here in Minnesota. And the
5672.
our cat team's out chasing around looking for some of our most prolific auto thieves, the few that are out and about that have been very active this last weekend, and we will continue to do that. I may have to either mute at some point or turn down one of my radios here just so if they start talking specifics, just so we don't blow what they're doing, but we will obviously go get in on the action. We just won't have it being broadcast. So it's a typical summer day in Minnesota, which means there are a lot of people out and about enjoying our neighborhoods, but also the kids are out of school, and sometimes if they don't have good structured programs that they're involved in with good adult role models, they will cause problems. So hopefully that's not the case right now. Minneapolis seems to have survived their this past weekend with 2 Taylor Swift concerts and a big boxing match and a number of other events going on. The Twin Cities Jazz Fest was going on at the same time, but I had the joy of bringing my son and my other son's girlfriend and their friends down to the Taylor Swift concert on Saturday night, and boy was it crowded down there. couldn't believe the pedestrian traffic. But they said it was the best concert they'd ever seen. It's gotten really good reviews, so I'm glad people got an opportunity to experience that. When the concert was over late Saturday night, it started pouring rain. There was a thunderstorm, so a lot of people got soaked walking back to their hotels or to where they were meeting their rides or to the Metro Transit. But everybody that I've talked to that was there, they didn't care because they were enjoyed the concert so much. Flip over here to a different screen on my computer. We're north on Rice Street at Cook right now. We're just kind of cruising through one of our busier areas, and then I'm gonna head over to the east side. For those of you who aren't familiar with our Live on Patrol, it started about 3 years ago after the death of George Floyd, and during COVID, or just before COVID it started, when the sheriff of Ramsey County, Bob Fletcher, decided to have an educational program to show what we do day to day, to not just the exciting stuff, but all the stuff we do, and talk about, how we think, how we make decisions, how we reduce crime, and how we interact with the community. So he started doing it on Friday nights at 9/11. He still does it with his partner Pat Scott.
Westbound on Highway 96 coming up to Lexington.
There's
40 miles an hour.
chase going on up in the suburbs. We'll kind of head that way. We're a ways off, but it is in the county, so we're gonna head that way.
Coming up to Victoria. That's that you took it to be revving. Restaurant, please.
No, he just goes straight on their car to car. I'm like, I think they're training. That makes sense.
Is that EVOC training?
No. UFTOs.
Copy that. I guess it wasn't a chase. I guess they're training and using one of our...
Before they started, it's 2 Tango station squads that are just doing some training.
channels. They're using the channels to practice calling out a pursuit with new officers that are in field training. So I guess we don't get that excitement, but we're gonna go up here where we've been recovering a lot of stolens. See what we can find here on this
now, and there's glass everywhere.
block of Westminster.
Road as well.
Proceed.
One of the things that happens as we patrol these areas, especially in areas where we recover a lot of stolen cars.
Staff's not seeing anything.
We get to know the cars that really belong there, that people who live in that area own, so it saves us a little time having to run those.
Let's know when you're ready, John.
I'm gonna back up and run this plate on this Kia. I don't
Yeah, good to go, sir.
think it's the one, but we have one that from Texas that's currently
56, instead of a
stolen.
black Dodge Durango, southbound Wright Street, coming up the car right up.
Sorry, I can't turn off that
Quarter mile an
channel
hour.
for a number of
South
reasons,
Carolina.
so
Wisconsin.
it's gonna sound like we have a chase going on when we really don't.
New message. New message.
So this car in front of us is not stolen. It's good. There is a car with a Texas plate. I know it was on our string earlier today. Let me see
For
here.
info, we got some training going on for current car, toxic training. So, just in case other agencies are monitoring.
50-23, we're with the mill.
There are literally a couple dozen,
Back.
maybe 3 dozen texts from this morning related to stolen cars and potential suspects, so I gotta go back a ways here.
160 Bravo. It's going to be a 92-year-old female, Oakridge level.
So there's a Hyundai Tucson
Is conscious and breathing.
with a Texas plate that we're looking for. It is Texas license Sam Victor Nora 2033. And it is... that one may have already been recovered. Hold on. Well, if you see that one, we're looking for it.
A child abuse, 7977 7th Street. A female hitting 2 children between the buildings. A black female in her 30s wearing a black shirt.
50-23, the mill is up and talking.
Just reading some wanted things that are coming out from other agencies asking us and all law enforcement to look for some folks. One of the names that just came out is very familiar to us as somebody that we've dealt with multiple times.
Hold that for us.
So we're on the east side. We're on Arkwright. We're gonna turn to go eastbound on Maryland here. I just checked an area on Westminster that we've recovered a lot of stolens lately. Although we believe that the family that was living there and with a number of other kids staying there was evicted from that apartment building because of all the problems they were causing. So as I was saying, the Sheriff Fletcher, and his partner Pat Scott go out on Friday nights and patrol. Usually they start at 9/11 or pretty soon thereafter, depending on what's going on, and they will go till
Blackhawks Charger.
usually at least 2 in the morning, and they just depends on if it's busy. Sometimes they'll stay later. And then on Mondays, I do Mondays with Mike. And on Wednesday afternoons, our CAT team, our carjacking and auto theft team, is live in the afternoon. So one of the good things is those guys are out right now. I talked to them earlier. They're out and about doing some work on a couple of our bad guys, and looking for them and looking for some vehicles they might be in. And so if there's anything they kick off, we'll go get involved and assist them. On Friday night when I was out with Bob and Pat, and my wife Ann came out with me that night. She's a retired Minneapolis police officer, and we were able to go to the end of one stop where St. Paul PD did a tremendous job of stopping a car that looked suspicious because of the way the guys were acting that were in the car, and they were in an area where we recover a lot of stolens, and they ended up recovering a gun out of the car, and one of the passengers ran, or the driver ran, and they were able to apprehend him after a short foot chase, and get him in custody, and he had a warrant out for his arrest. Just a tremendous job. I say it was a short foot chase because I didn't get out on foot and chase him. Had it been me, it would have been like a marathon. But this young St. Paul cop ran him down like a gazelle. So tremendous job. And bring it back. And there were a couple other cars that were head officers that night we were looking for. One of the things I talked about, the training that's going on another channel that sounds like a chase. They are training officers and brand new officers to patrol on how to call out those chases, when to call them off, how to weigh the factors like traffic, weather, the severity of the crime that they're chasing the car for. Is it a murder or kidnapping, or is it just a traffic stop and the car fled? What are the traffic conditions? Are there pedestrians out and about? Are you gonna go by a school? All those things factor into when you need to make a decision sometimes to terminate a chase and discontinue, and also, do you know who the driver is? If you know who the driver is, you can charge them by complaint. So sometimes it's risky the public safety. So things that entries can determine or not obvious. Some agencies are more restrictive, and some are give a little more leeway to the officers and trust the officers' discretion. So we're an agency that really trusts our officers to use their discretion and their training and make those decisions, but our supervisors and other deputies can cancel a chase if they feel like there's something that's just too risky.
537 Wright Street. Female in the parking lot refusing to leave, now telling staff that she can't walk and is requesting others.
Somebody asked, I think I saw it before it scrolled up on me, how do you know on a traffic stop whether or not it's just a traffic stop or the person's wanted for murder? You don't. Unless you know the person that you're stopping and whatnot. A lot of times it's just a regular traffic stop, and you know, if they flee, you don't know, is this a murderer who's fleeing, or is it somebody who just has a revoked driver's license, maybe, or they don't have insurance on their car. And the thing is, you have to make a decision, but if you don't know, are you willing to risk public safety to pursue that person? And obviously we can always relay via radio up to other agencies that can kind of keep an eye out. If the state patrol helicopter's up, that's a game changer, because they can keep an eye on the vehicle without us having to actively pursue it, and then they can guide us into where the vehicle's stopping so that we can apprehend the suspect in a safer way and a safer location. So, but we don't know. But boy, I don't want to kill somebody over chasing a car and the person just has a revoked driver's license. So we're southbound on White Bear. We're behind a St. Paul squad here. Not really sure why it looks kind of out of focus. I'm gonna see if I can't fix that here in a minute when we stop. Southbound on White Bear, passing the Cherry Pit on Minnehaha Avenue, and the Little Oven and Big Steer Meats, and
5283 Rabbit.
We're going to continue south. It does not look as out of focus as it does on cast here, but I will see when we stop if there's maybe there's a smudge on the lens or something, or the autofocus might be screwing it up.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
King Nora Henry 591. Leave it like up. Okay. 184.
53 direct.
Concealing items. It's like 5 female, mid-30s, 5'7", monthly colored shirt. Grocery side of the store.
Copy.
I'm gonna take a right here and go westbound on 3rd Street. It's the east-west corridor here through the east side, and it's an area where we, from time to time, will get some stolen cars cutting through here. It's weird how all of a sudden the radio kind of sounds quiet, but I guarantee you it's going to kick up and kick off here soon. It's still a little bit early in the day. We're passing Harding High School. It's a school that's produced a ton of good cops. Actually, all the St. Paul schools have, I think, but there seems to be a disproportionate number from Harding High School, from Como, from
59.
Humboldt,
59, 55.
Johnson.
37 at the Apple Store. 13611 until 1900.
And then, of course, the private schools. If you want to start a fight in a police roll call room, start talking about whose high school is better in the city of St. Paul. I'm going to try zooming in a little bit more and see if that helps.
I'm sorry, you're extremely low.
So we're on 3rd at Earl right now, on the east side of St. Paul. You're riding with the Rams office and Undersheriff Mike Martin. I've been a
240 Tango.
peace officer for 32 years. I retired from the Minneapolis Police Department. And then when Sheriff Fletcher was reelected, he asked me to come over and run some of the specialized units and the investigative units for him. And it's been a tremendous time over here. I'm in charge of the General Investigations Unit that investigates pretty much all crime that occurs within the 7 contract cities that we have in Ramsey County. They also assist local agencies quite frequently. I oversee the apprehension unit, which goes out and looks for primarily violent criminals that are wanted in the county. They are also cross-deputized as U.S. Marshals. I oversee the intelligence unit, which provides actionable intelligence out to our deputies and to other agencies within the county. Which is an information center who really listen to the radio and pump out information as squads get dispatched to a call on their, named suspects. Or as I oversee our carjack team, the CAT team, and criminal enforcement is a multi-juris networks, high-level drug trafficking and violent crime, and team. And I help with our mobile response team in a command position if we have a civil unrest or those type of events. So I have a lot of responsibilities, but they're all things that are enjoyable and that I learn from. And as with any person who's in a higher position, I rely on extremely knowledgeable and talented people who work for me, who run these units day to day. And then obviously our ultimate boss, the sheriff, is ultimately in charge. We have 5 undersheriffs. I oversee what I oversee is called the Regional Services Division. There's a Tina McNamara who oversees the courts and civil process and transports. There's an undersheriff, Jeff Ramaker, who oversees our patrol division and our water patrol. There's an undersheriff who oversees the jail, Bill Finney. Many of you may know him. He was the chief of police in St. Paul for many, many years. And Lestat, the smartest man in the sheriff's office, who is our undersheriff of administration, who makes sure all that stuff gets done behind the scenes that we need done. And we appreciate that. And then we have inspectors that are also appointed positions, and they oversee specific areas within the sheriff's office. They each have responsibilities, and it's a fun group to work with. We have a lot of fun, family, each other relentlessly. So it makes it fun.
Triple D.
We're going to transfer an adult female from HQ down to courthouse.
Copy adult female citizen.
Somebody posted that Finney's still around. I can't believe he's not retired up north somewhere. He is still around. He started in law enforcement in 1967, I believe, is in Mankato. And shortly afterwards moved to the St. Paul PD. He has been around for a long time, and we're lucky to have him. His institutional knowledge and his respect within policing and within the community as a whole are unmatched. There's nothing that I can go to him and talk about that he hasn't experienced or has a good idea for how to move forward on. So I love having him. Dana McNamara, is on loan
Did
to us from the St. Paul PD. She was senior commander over homicide before she came to us, and I know she did a stint in the watch commander's office as well, and she also has a tremendous amount of experience. We're on Arcade Street going north. I think this lady in this Lincoln wants to race me, but her license plate says only God. I don't know if that means she'll only race God. I don't know, I'm feeling left out now. Fortunately, though, she's not going over the speed limit, so we won't be pulling her over. I know it looks like I'm driving around aimlessly, but I'm actually checking areas where we've seen a lot of stolen vehicles lately. And
580 Highway 96, checking the building.
You've probably saw this last week that there was a murder in North St. Paul, and Chief Babenroth there is a great guy. He used to be a commander with us, and we were able to assist on that case along with St. Paul PD. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension eventually took over kind of the overall coordination of the case, and I think we're the case agents on it. Our apprehension folks, St. Paul Intel folks, and others worked hard to make arrests in that case and hopefully bring some closure to the family. I know this is going to be a surprise, but several of the suspects involved were people that we were very familiar with from past incidents. You know, it's kind of amazing to me that
Bay Area 19.3, right?
Sorry, I'm listening to the radio there. The
1523.
people don't just wake up one day when they're 17, they're going to be a criminal. We see these young men and women over years and criminal activity, and for the most part, failure to have any meaningful sanctions for their behavior. They don't learn their lessons, and eventually it ends up in a homicide or a shooting or a carjacking where an innocent person is terrorized. And we, as much as, you know, we don't want to point fingers, the criminal justice system oftentimes just fails in a lot of respects. When we arrest someone repeatedly and they're not held accountable for their behavior, they're going to escalate. They're going to get worse. You're only reinforcing that bad behavior, and we need to have meaningful interventions when these kids are young. And,
909.
take some,
5909.
get them off the streets for a while, get them the mental health
20913.
treatment they need, the chemical dependency treatment, get them on medications if they're suffering from mental illness, depression,
Thank you.
anxiety, that kind of stuff. Get them back in school.
Look for phonetic two adult females.
We have
Want to
to
be checked over general.
invest in getting these kids the help they need, and not just give them a slap on the wrist and turn them back out onto the street. It's not doing anybody any good. There was a day, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, where we had a judge in court let a guy go that really needed to be locked up for a while. And that day that judge let everybody walk. Nobody was held in custody. And you wonder why. You're not doing them any favors. If it's a first time crook or criminal that
as well, so there's something leaking, and I can't quite tell what it sort of smells like.
does something for the first time, that's one thing. Maybe they'll learn their lesson, pay a fine, whatever. But when it's their 10th, 12th time, and they're stealing cars, they're carjacking people, they're creating havoc in the community, it's time for them to sit in the juvenile detention center or the adult detention center for a while. And then hopefully, if they're young, get them back on the right path. A lot of these kids actually aren't they're not like, you can sit and talk to them and have a decent conversation with them, and they're good. They seem like good kids when they're not doing bad stuff, but the problem is they're not engaged in any positive occupations, whether it's school or work or sports or whatever, where they have good adult role models. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but it gets frustrating to see the same names over and over and over again. And what really gets me is when I hear a kid's last name and I ask them, hey, is your dad so-and-so? And they say yes, and I realize, this is an intergenerational issue with this family, and we're just perpetuating the problems. So I'm southbound now on Rice Street. We're coming up here on Ivy, just north of Maryland, and still looking for some stolen vehicles. One is that Texas plate I gave you earlier. Here.
104.
Good.
Keep current back in 13. We'll act on this later. It's another 180 call.
We'll be back to you.
So I'm looking at the pending calls here to see if there's anything of interest. Earlier today, I know Maplewood got tied up for quite a while on, they had a guy who they were trying to pick up. I think he had a warrant. And rather than coming out, he set his apartment on fire. They ended up having to call the fire department, and I believe he was injured as well. Not a good plan.
83. I got me penny.
New message. New message. New message.
Copy that.
We're still south on Rice. We're at Sycamore.
Thank you. 4420 clear report. Tango, clear report. Yeah.
So we're at Rice and Penn. We're gonna go westbound into Frogtown. I don't have my cape with me, so I'm not sure I can save Frogtown today, but I'll try. Don't worry, if you fall asleep in the back seat, I'll wake you up if anything exciting happens.
435
I'll wake you up with the siren and the bumps in the road. This past week we've had this past weekend and then this week there's an international Somali soccer tournament going on here in the city of St. Paul at a couple locations where Somali soccer players from around the world are competing for the championship, and it's we have the honor of being able to help them with maintaining a safe environment for that.
Any additional info from that CSO on me? Negative.
So for those of back seat for the back seaters in there. And even though it's unmarked, and if you saw it driving along, you wouldn't know it was a squad. When you light it up, it lights up like a Christmas tree. So
Job is located at Old Age School. I'm in out there, providing right home.
we're at University and Dale Street. Always a busy intersection. There's a lot going on here. You got a light rail transit hub. Well, I don't know if you'd call it a hub, but the buses drop people off, and the light rail, they can hop on the light rail or vice versa.
Gentlemen, I'm headed off duty. Thanks for everything, Dizzy Mike.
White wig is back inside harassing staff.
So we're going to go northbound on Dale Street here.
Copy. The guy with access to the cameras never showed up. State plus rec center yet, so I will follow.
Copy that.
Already.
Dale is a major north-south street that runs through St. Paul here, and we're on Dale at Thomas. We're gonna go eastbound into Frogtown by St. Agnes. It's just if it's got all grade levels here. I would guess all grade levels because it's a parochial school.
For a passerby witnessing a female exiting a vehicle and two males got out and chased her down. Just to advise you, there is another call at Mountain 6 there. A parent is trying to locate his missing daughter. 447 people.
So there was a call, if you just heard that, it's on the east side where we were earlier.
4447.
Somebody called in that two guys got out of a car and were chasing a female. At the same time, Ben said that he was trying to get his daughter, who was a runaway, it sounded like. So, interesting how most likely it's the same incident from two perspectives. It's really hard when a kid runs away, especially an older teen, and they don't want to go back with their parents.
If there is any other Maplewood squads coming, they can slow down. We're good here. The patient just has minor injuries. Whole field's out, safe's on the way to 6 room work.
On feet.
This is the Frogtown Rec Center here. It's where the frogs go to recreate. It's a busy place for kids, especially in the summer. basketball courts in there. There's soccer fields, baseball. I went by the other day and
Related to my call.
was watching a baseball practice for a little bit outside there, and reminded me of when my different boys were younger, and I got to coach them in baseball, and it was an awesome opportunity to spend time with them and play a sport that we loved. It was just fun to watch what looked like dads out there coaching their kids. Yeah, I agree, Valerie. If it's little frogs from Frogtown, then they're tadpoles. So then when they grow up, they're full frogs. Some of you may remember a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, when we were chasing that kid on foot who bailed from a stolen, and he went running right through the Frogtown Rec Center playfield there, and then I cut him off by pulling up to the fence, and some of the backseaters thought I had a medical emergency because all of a sudden I wasn't there anymore.
Which channel's calling?
Channel 3. Club 363. A DOC at 1743 Iowa Avenue, apartment 1101. An irate resident causing a scene. It's white female in her 40s, average build, wearing a pink top and white shorts. And currently throwing things around.
Just cut through down here on Empire.
Start top of the Ramsey on the 94 to west. For a vehicle fire. 6-4, I can't hear that.
If I was your alcohol, you can cancel this spot.
Copy. 363, quickly.
Copy.
52, we just checking your status. H1 Park.
Down on the right down here is the Minnesota, I don't know if it's called Minnesota, I think it is Minnesota Railroad Museum, but it's a railroad museum with old train cars and engines, and it's a pretty cool place. I went to a burglary in progress there one night where someone climbed the fence. This was a while ago, but I never even knew that all that cool stuff was in there. It's right off of Pennsylvania behind the Minnesota State Capitol. I should advise people or remind people that on Friday we reached 100,000 followers on Facebook, which is awesome. I know we have more than that for subscribers on YouTube, but that's a lot of followers on Facebook, and we appreciate it. If you haven't shared this yet, please share it, and or subscribe to it on YouTube. I still don't know which is better or what the difference is, but I know when I'm at home, if I'm not working for some reason, I will watch it on YouTube on my TV. Otherwise, in my car here right now, I have it up on
Fire is out. If fire wants to
Facebook.
respond with one rig, water extinguisher, they can respond and do that just to make sure.
We're driving by the foundry. You've seen it at night with Bob and Pat, but it's there during the day. It's not very busy right now. The Foundry Bar. It was one of the few bars that stayed open late during COVID.
4043.
4043.
Would you please record this in AOA? All squads are there.
I apologize for all the rattling. This is not the best road in the city. I don't know what the best road is in the city. Probably the highways.
282 cars will be clear from the stop and we'll be back out at Abbott.
I see you sent us the PCN regarding the mother and the daughter. Did the assault on the female get resolved before we got there?
I'm gonna pull over here really quick.
Yes, all related. The mother's gonna be waiting out now in Mariah, or 5th and Mariah.
Let's see what we have for pending calls.
Copy.
15.
We might have to take a long trip up into the suburbs and see what's going on up there. There's not much in pending.
I'll take the welfare check. 4471, copy. 4492, if you could assist 2296 Wade Avenue East, check on the caller's friend. 16-year-old female named Madison. She texted the caller to call the police as her dad is being abusive towards her. His name is Joseph Serrano.
Thanks, Rico.
Somebody's just continuing north here on Jackson. We're passing the the McDonough projects, or it's, I don't know what the official name of it is, the McDonough Housing Community, but it's an area that tends to house new immigrant communities when they come, and the Hmong were here for quite a while. We've had Somali residents now, and
At a place, November hotels, they're only at 4. Yeah, and 6 will still come and cancel.
residents, so it's just it's kind of a small melting pot representative of the population in St. Paul over time. Eventually, as people become more established economically and working and whatnot, they move out of there, but they still have roots in McDonough or Mount Airy or the Roosevelt homes, and over time, new groups move in.
8271.
We're on Wheelock Parkway. We're going to come out to Rice Street here, then we're going to go north. See if we can't find something to do
as well.
up in Little Canada.
5023 clear report.
Man, that car's... I don't even know if you can see that car because I'm zoomed in so far. But there's a car there at the intersection that's literally held together with duct tape.
I'm going to check 347 East Hawthorne. Station the same call.
I don't know.
245,
I know you could fix anything with duct tape and WD-40, but that was pretty rough.
47.
1306, straight on an alarm. Cover social justice office panic.
Todd Levig, yes, we want to congratulate Commander Mary Kay Skelly on her retirement in a couple days here. She's been a tremendous asset to the sheriff's office for many years, and she finally gets to enjoy her retirement. And she was a commander in our community engagement, with our community engagement team. She worked patrol, she worked detention at one point. She's has been the lead on our crisis negotiations team that works closely with our SWAT team, and we're going to miss her greatly.
2140. Good.
And yeah, Mary Kay, I think, was Rev Spence's boss. Technically on paper, but I don't think anybody's Rev Spence's boss. I think he only answers to the big man upstairs.
No answer, we're going to be in.
We're going to cross Highway 36 here, head into the Canada. It's rack cities. And we are the primary police responders and police agency for Little. When communities are too small really to be able to afford their own police agency, then they will contract with us, and we call them contract cities, where basically we provide all of the policing for them, and then they reimburse us for that service. A lot of commercial activity, schools, Dunkin' Donuts, which is important, of course, to the police.
Were you wanting to clear from
Although I
that
think
call,
I can honestly say I've never eaten a Dunkin' Donut at that store. It's, next door is Sun Control Systems that does car wraps, window and tinting on commercial facilities. They do a tremendous job. Familiar with the hog's breath? Flame Burger is another place in Little Canada. It's a great place to go after a night out, or so I've heard. We have the dueling CVS and Walgreens on the corner, because you can't just have one, you gotta have both of them. I think it's some kind of law. Maybe it's a federal law that you must have a Walgreens anytime there's a CVS and vice versa. So that, if I'm not mistaken, that back there used to be a pawn shop, Lincoln Pawn, and now it's a liquor store. They shut down the pawn shop and now it's a liquor store. So, interesting. Up here, I'm going to swing by our water patrol building and see if there's anything cool going on out there. My guess is they're out on the boats right now because of the heat and the weather. We generally will have a boat out on the Mississippi. White Bear Lake oftentimes has one out. And we have other boats. I don't know, it looks like in the lot here. Maybe I should get out and offer my advice on how to do this. Spread it even. So we have, it's also our impound lot is up here. If you're a knucklehead and you want to flee from us in your own vehicle, or you're a street racer, this is where your car is going to be for a long time. I didn't know they were repaving this lot, but
Yep, are you aware of this alarm over here?
a lot of work going on.
Not sure, but I'll find out.
Copy.
$52.82. Can you add North Dakota 599, David, Union, John to our call? Okay.
Tonight we have a concert in our
Disregard, I just saw the off-duty. Bravo
county.
304, 156, 5156.
It's a band called Dirty Heads.
Bravo 156.
It's going to be at the Myth nightclub. When
When
I saw it on the schedule, I wasn't familiar with Dirty Heads, so I had to look up their music, and man, they're good. They have some really cool songs. So the key for me is looking at it, trying to determine what the crowd is going to be like. And if the crowd is anything like their songs, it's going to be a lot of laid back surfers and people enjoying the summer, which is what I like. Not a lot of drama. Look up look them up, Dirty Heads. You'll recognize a couple of their songs. I did, because I've heard them on the radio or on commercials, and but they're really good. Someone said they just played in Salt Lake City a couple weeks ago. Hey Vic, glad you're watching. Old friend. He's not old. It's just I've known him a long time. Maybe that means I'm old. So we're still going northbound on Rice Street, and we're gonna head into Shoreview, another one of our contract cities. We're going to drive by Vadnais Lake up here. Some of you may remember a little over a year ago when a mother drowned her 3 kids and herself in Vadnais Lake. Because she was apparently suicidal after her husband had committed suicide earlier in the day.
New message.
But our folks, especially our water patrol, our dive team, and work diligently with other agencies. Maplewood Fire, Little Canada, or I'm not Little Canada. I think Little Canada might have been there. Who else was there? There were just a number of agencies and nonprofits that kicked in to help in the recovery efforts to find this lady and her 3 children. It took well into the second day, and it was an extremely difficult situation. The deputies and the firefighters and the EMS folks and the volunteers just could not have been better. And we were able to bring the children home and the mom home to their families so that they could see, give them a proper burial. That's kind of the situation, tragic as they are. So we're still northbound. There's right here it splits. Rice Street splits to the right, and Hodgson Road splits to the left, and we're going to go north on Hodgson Road. Time over here watching my younger boys. I say younger, they're not younger anymore, but
Highway 61 at the white barricade.
They played over here at Setzer Park and Chippewa and McCullough Fields. So it always gives me a little bit of a warm spot when I drive by and see people out there, especially kids. playing, although, of course, there aren't any right now to show you. A couple tennis players. My wife's trying to get me to play pickleball. I don't know. The last thing I need is one more to add at. But she enjoys it. She and her friend. I'll break down and go play them at some point.
Courtesy ride to 1365 Spruce Place, Minneapolis.
Right. Some of you might remember Kozlak's restaurant, which was up here. It's been gone now for quite a while, but it was a really good restaurant.
Nice. You can head into the Bible as well.
I don't know why traffic's so bad right now.
J3.
380.
Your number for PCN 2265 spelling number 109.
So we had a case on Friday night when I was out and about with Pat and Bob and the team, and
83-year-old with abdominal pain, 1545.
where a young lady thought that her window had been shot out here on Highway 96, just east of here, but most likely I responded to the scene. Most likely someone threw a rock at the car or something else, because it did not appear like a bullet hole, and there was no shrapnel, or couldn't find anything inside the car, but it would be scary nonetheless. She had 3 other young ladies with her. Go west here on 96.
Bravo 154.
Bravo 156.
Okay, the correct address on this is going to be 21506. And you can clear it assisted. Okay.
So we're westbound on 96 from Hodgson, going by Kowalski's, if anyone knows the area. Great grocery store. It's one of those little bit fancier grocery stores where you feel like, maybe you should have changed clothes before you went there, but they have a lot of good food. And then on the right down, coming up down here, is the Shoreview Community Center. Got a great pool inside there. A lot of recreational activities. Icebox, Shoreview Ice Arena on the right. I've spent many hours in there watching hockey practices and hockey games. favorite places to go out here. Shore 96. Great. If you've ever eaten at the halftime wreck in St. Paul, it's the same kind of food and stuff.
Ready for 23 report.
Have a nice patio out here. It's a great place to get a quick bite to eat or to drink if you so desire. Someone commented that they loved Red Robin. That's you, Tara. Yeah, I like Red Robin too, but I haven't been there in a long time. When my kids were younger, they always wanted to go to Red Robin, and I just think as they got older, we quit going. So we're in the city of Arden Hills now. Another one of our contract cities, and also the home of our water patrol. I'm sorry, our patrol station. Not water patrol, just our normal patrol station.
Show me Roger that medical. Start me another.
Can I get another squad? 4491 Harbor Place Drive. It's going to be a mail. For a mail on it.
What's the one?
23.
So these squads are responding to a medical call. So
the squad's off the safety house cleared out of Bloomington. Tend to locate an adult who's got a felony DOT warrant, is known to be driving a Jeep Liberty. The plate is Golf Victor Kilo 92B. The Jeep Liberty is Spanish color. This officer safety.
just passing one of our community service officers, who's they're non-sworn, but they work with us and help us out. And that one happens to be Steve Winfield. And Steve's brother is Dave Winfield, who's in the Baseball Hall of Fame for his time with both the Yankees and the Padres. And a guy who was my hero when I was a little kid. So imagine my surprise when I found out that was his brother. So we're headed to a medical call with a male that's unresponsive. We'll see if we can go assist. The squad that was there asked for additional car.
Anyway, here at Subway, there's a male taking on the back wall. We headed westbound. White male wearing a black shirt and jeans, green backpack. Go ahead.
gonna swing around, and because they're doing CPR on this gentleman, I don't want you guys to have to watch that. I'll be back in a minute.
$39.31 clear assisted. J55.
Squad 239.
39.
You put me on traffic, Knockton Cherry and Rice. Foxtrot Sierra November 109.
Sorry, can you give the plate again?
Foxtrot Sierra November 109.
Copy. I got a hot mic.
$2271. Vagal breathing, one shock administered.
Copy.
$23.61 arriving.
15. Sorry, Roseville, this is 5283 for 911 hang up 3110 Old Highway 8.
53 Old Bus for now.
1558.
$2267. Second shock administered.
New message.
You're on the team, you're right.
Uh, 306, go for 306.
Can you go down for please?
Bravo 543 ELT.
Ready for 16, this is Sheila. 85P clear.
Copy 85 clear.
Ninety-two 71.
8271.
They have an ambulance respond to my location at CBS. 50-year-old female says she feels like she's going to pass out, but doesn't know why.
One 180 to 184. Can you go to 4?
About 184.
184, go ahead.
Take 4.
4.
Three 363, copy the CDT report at 2119 Hawthorne, 1604. Correction, 2017 Tango. Clear report. Joe 4.
traffic impound, please.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
You cruising cross duty telling me on the board.
Copy.
U296.
Unit 96.
You can change it to burglary and I'm radio still.
Copy.
Revving.
1608.
Six eight three. You can clear false alarm.
Copy.
That's 16 last floor, please.
Copy.
First 62 on last floor, 6632.
All right. Apologize for leaving you for so long, but it's they continued to do CPR on this gentleman. He obviously had some type of heart attack or cardiac incident. The fire department and
4483.
Medics, when they showed up, did a tremendous job along with the deputies. The
1744
we're hoping and praying for this guy. I mean, he's getting the best medical care possible, but when you have a heart attack, it's often very touch and go. They have tremendous medics up here, both in the fire department and with Alina. So I was gonna look. This is Lake Joanna Fire. Oh, that was your key?
Yeah,
I gave it to them because I thought it fell out of his pocket.
The ring was still attached to my belt. I get over there and nothing's open.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
good. Well, hopefully he'll have a good outcome.
It's all good.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, thank God they got CPR started fast.
Shocks were advised. He's still actively breathing.
Yeah, so that's good.
He might be okay.
Yeah, you never know. All right. Well, good job.
Good thing everybody's in the area.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another big thing. Everybody was right here.
Right, which is nice. So,
well,
all right.
I'll roll out of here.
All right, have a good one.
Have a good one.
2361. Clear me from this medical. Thank you, place 65.
It's right there.
Tell you, if I had a heart attack, this is where I'd want to have it, with all the firefighters and medics and the deputies working together as a team. And we have tremendous level 1 trauma centers here. So
2110 Albemarle Court, 89-year-old female, unable to stand.
This is a really nice neighborhood. It's not one we generally spend much time in because there's not a lot of crime up here, but medicals happen everywhere, so the larger departments, Minneapolis and St. Paul, generally police won't the medicals unless there's some type of suspicious foul play and assault, something like that. But our deputies and the deputies in most of the, if not all of the suburbs in Ramsey County respond to medicals along with the fire department and EMS, because oftentimes we can get there faster than other people can. So that allows us to get CPR started faster. And fortunately, his sounds like son-in-law maybe was able to start CPR on him right away. And then the deputies arrived a few minutes later. And were able to take that. People playing different parts between monitoring the AED, doing compressions, checking for breathing and a pulse, getting medical history, all that information that they need. And nobody does it better than our deputies and our medics and firefighters. I call them firefighters medics because they are. Here's what that kind of brings me home sometimes, or shocks me a little bit, is so these deputies will leave here having witnessed or participated in CPR on this patient, and dealing with the traumatized family members that were there, and they can't just say, oh, okay, now I'm going to take a break for a little while and let that soak in and kind of relax and reset give a chance for my adrenaline to come down. No, they got to go right back on the street, and the next call may be someone who's yelling at them for, why did it take you so long to come here, and they're still able to maintain their professionalism. And you got to have a lot of respect for people that are able to do that. I remember going to a call once where a couple decided to have their baby born at home and in their bed, and they had a midwife. What they didn't know was that the midwife wasn't really qualified to do the at-home birth if there were emergencies, and the baby came out and it was not breathing, and the midwife panicked, didn't know what to do, and kind of froze up, and they called 911, and it was a horribly
corresponding 27th Trail Street North on a 34-year-old, difficulty talking.
traumatic situation, and the baby ended up dying. And after the officers did CPR on the baby, and I showed up after they were doing CPR, and I was a supervisor, and so had to deal with the family a little bit, who obviously were traumatized. And I remember afterwards, because there were so many cars tied up, it was a busy night, going to help clean up some of the calls, and getting yelled at by somebody, for why it took so long to get there. And you want to say, I was just holding a dead baby and trying to do CPR, but you can't. So I'm gonna take this chance to encourage people to learn CPR. There are some new protocols with CPR. I'm not going to go through those, but take the time to learn CPR. You can even do it online. Take an online course, and speak with your if you have older relatives about what their wishes are. Whether or not they want to be resuscitated, if they're, they have major health issues or whatever, because it's really important. And when it happens, it's traumatic when and the family members can't possibly think straight at that time. And it's stressful, and, it's better to have it kind of planned out in advance. So I'm headed south on 35E in the Twin Cities. I-35 splits into 35E or east and 35 west. And we're headed south on 35E back into the city of St. Paul. Right now we're kind of straddling between Bad and Maplewood. Here, we call it the board, but the computer, to see what calls are assigned right now and what calls are pending. See if there's anything big going on.
Sorry, you cut yourself off in your initial transmission. Were you looking for something specific? Survived that.
This guy in this Bronco here wants to be pulled over, apparently. So, because he's doing in excess of 85 on the highway, we'll give him an opportunity to pull over. I don't like it when they pull over on the left side, but I'll pretend to be a trooper for once. So I'm running his license plate to see what his deal is.
New message.
His reflection in the mirror looks like a young kid.
New message.
reporting for 20 or case number 16634. Copy, thank you. Welcome,
New message.
Good afternoon. To the colors of PD for a theft report from 2156 Reddit.
All right, he was a very polite young man. And as I've talked about before, I'm not into writing people tickets if I think they understand what they did was wrong. He did. And I just advise them to slow down and be careful.
So I've got a black Dodge Durango with plates on it, Mr. White front Durango from TV Holding at the airport. Is that a fairly common mistake that gets made? Or?
Yes, really common.
All right, thank you.
I did advise them to pull over to the right side next time, because it's safer for both of us. You might have heard Pat Scott on the in the background there. He's out working. Had a question for some of the cat folks. Oftentimes with rental cars from out at the airport, they'll get the color wrong. Sometimes they'll get the make wrong because they're doing mass registrations of vehicles. So he was just asking if people thought that was common. The answer that came back was yes, it is. I did like that guy's Bronco. It reminded me of the Bronco that we chased that day over to by the University of Minnesota campus that was a stolen. People ask me all the time, they'll joke around about how to get out of a ticket. The best way, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is to just admit, hey, sorry, I was speeding. I didn't, I apologize. I'll slow down. And just be honest and if the deputy or the officer realizes that you are apologetic and that you understand what you did was wrong, and they believe that because of that it might not happen again, that's your most likely way to get out of a speeding ticket. For me, when I stop cars for traffic, my whole purpose of doing that is to educate the person to try to change behavior. And if I believe the behavior is going to change, then there's really no need to write them a ticket. I know not all officers probably feel that way, especially troopers who are a little more, I think, apt to write a ticket. But I think for me it works well. If a person wants to argue and they don't think what they did was wrong, then I might write them a ticket, and to help hopefully reinforce that. Someone said if you're a 350-pound man, would showing some flesh help? Not with me, I guarantee you that much. I don't want to see it. All right? I don't care who you are. Oh.
206.
A lot of people ask me some of my funniest stories, which my intent is to someday write a book, but it'll include funny stories and tragic stories and terrorizing stories probably. But one of the funniest things, traffic stops I ever had was many years ago when I was working with Minneapolis PD, and I was northbound on 35W from South Minneapolis, and a car flew by me, and I didn't have radar, and I didn't wait to pace them. I just pulled them over, and it was 3 umpires who were late for officiating a Minnesota Twins game at the Metrodome. And the best part about it, they were coming from the airport. The best part about it is the guy handed me his driver's license with a PBA card, which is the Police Benevolent Association on the East Coast, which means he's a police supporter, and a $20 bill. So I handed him back his PBA card and his $20 bill and his license, and told him to slow down. And I just thought it was extremely ironic that it was a baseball umpire.
Going to make first charge tonight, corresponding for nosebleed 407 Lorry Road at 1633.
I could tell you almost 100%. I saw someone comment on this. If you interact with one of our deputies and you're polite, you're not getting a ticket. Because that's the culture that we breed here, is trying to minimize the amount of issues that we cause for citizens, and it doesn't do any good for me. I could pull over probably every 3rd or 4th car out here and write them a ticket, but it doesn't do any good to any of us. If that person can't afford to pay the ticket, then it goes to a warrant. Then we end up having to arrest them for a warrant over something they couldn't afford to do in the first place, and now they got to pay bail. It's I'm not making apologies for people screwing up. I'm just saying
Getting flagged down in the Walmart parking lot.
we have to save our enforcement for the people that really need it. And I also made a commitment to myself once that I would never write someone a ticket just because I was mad at them. I'll give you an example. The most common example is they cut me off or almost run into my squad or whatever. It'd be really easy to write them a ticket for careless driving or for failing to yield or whatever. But, so I try to take a deep breath. I talk to him. I had a lady just, when was that, on Friday, or might have been, it was before that, I think, but I explained to her, the last thing you want to do is run into a police car, because it's going to be a long day for both of us, so let's slow down, pay attention, and have a good day. So, we're back on the east side of St. Paul. I guess I haven't really updated us in a while. We're on Arcade. We're gonna head south. We're right by Phelan. Phelan Bow down by the M&H. Bob and Pat's favorite hangout, I think.
We report. We'll take that abandoned vehicle.
Give Conway in third, 63.
Again, if you haven't shared this, please do. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Our goal is to educate as many people as we can about doing and what's going on within our cities. Pat did report over by the Taylor Swift concert on Friday. There's a fire truck coming up behind us, which is no fair, because then I had to pull over and look at a taco truck. So now I'm hungry. Love tacos. Oh. Right by St. Paul's East team headquarters. So St. Paul has 3 districts: West, East, and Central. And the East team is where the officers work out of, that work the east side of St. Paul. The ones that aren't citywide. There are some citywide squads, K9s, gang unit, traffic officers, but for the most part, they patrol in specific districts. That's on the corner of Payne and Minnehaha, so now we're going kind of southwest on Payne. Take a right here, take Tedesco over. My brakes are starting to squeak, but I'm being told that's normal for these Tahoes, because they have these really big heavy brakes on them. After a little while they start to squeak. I don't know if I'm buying that, but we'll see. I did actually stop at the garage today, and they told me that My brakes were fine, so. Thanks for sticking with me this afternoon. Let's all say a prayer for the man that had the medical emergency and his family. And I hope to see you on Wednesday afternoon watching the cat team, and on Friday with Bob and Pat. And I really appreciate your being here with me. And I'm about to pull into the barn.